In the heart of Silicon Valley, stories often outweigh reality. Yet, few stories capture the imagination quite like that of Elizabeth Holmes and her company, Theranos. She promised a revolution. One drop of blood could reveal the secrets of human health. Investors, media, and politicians alike were captivated.
A healthcare pioneer is being compared to visionaries like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. This morning, Elizabeth Holmes is part of the new Time 100 list just out. Her mission is to allow blood testing in every drugstore at a fraction of Medicare costs. Her innovation has fueled anticipation in the healthcare industry and made Holmes the world's youngest female self-made billionaire.
At 19 years old, Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford. She had a little tuition money and a big idea. Now at 31, she's what lots of teenagers with that background likely strive to become.
The youngest billionaire in the world. Is that heady when you hear that?
You know, it's not what matters. What matters is how well we do in trying to make people's lives better. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I work the way that I work, and that's why I love what I'm doing so much.
What Holmes is doing is running Theranos, the biotech company she founded in 2003. Instead of a needle to the arm, it's a pinprick to the finger. Holmes is marketing Theranos as a faster and cheaper alternative to a process that hasn't meaningfully changed in decades.
But behind this grand vision lay a meticulously crafted lie. Elizabeth Holmes was not just ambitious, she was relentless. At 19, she dropped out of Stanford, inspired by the idea that she could change the world. She adopted the persona of a young Steve Jobs, the black turtlenecks, the deep voice, the unwavering conviction. Her dream was simple yet audacious. Transform blood testing with a device so small it could fit in the palm of a hand, capable of running hundreds of tests from a single finger prick. Holmes' charisma was magnetic. She could tell a story, and investors would listen. She spoke of saving lives, of empowering patients, of disrupting a stagnant industry. It was a narrative no one wanted to doubt. Theranos began attracting attention almost immediately. Industry giants and high-profile investors lined up, eager to be part of the next big thing. Walton family, Rupert Murdoch, Henry Kissinger, they all believed in Holmes' vision. Media outlets crowned her a visionary. Forbes labeled her the youngest self-made female billionaire, while magazines called her the female Steve Jobs. Yet inside the walls of Theranos, reality diverged sharply from the story being sold. The Edison machines, which were supposed to perform hundreds of blood tests, failed constantly. Results were inconsistent, often inaccurate. The science didn't support the claims, but Holmes' presentation and the aura of success blinded many to the truth. Theranos operated like a fortress. Employees were bound by strict confidentiality agreements. Labs were isolated. Teams could not communicate openly. Cameras and security systems monitored every movement. Those who questioned the technology were silenced, threatened, or terminated. One former employee would later describe the company as more of a cult than a workplace. Despite the internal chaos, Theranos forged ahead with ambitious partnerships. Walgreens and Safeway agreed to roll out Theranos testing centers nationwide, confident in the promise of the technology. Patients entered these centers believing in a medical miracle, unaware that behind the scenes, their tests were being processed with conventional equipment, while Edison machines took center stage for show. Holmes' ability to tell a story was unmatched. She painted pictures of a healthcare revolution that would change lives. Board members, investors, and the public were enchanted by the vision, willing to overlook the lack of transparency. The narrative was more powerful than the evidence, and for a time, no one dared challenge it. The valuation of Theranos soared to $9 billion. Holmes became a media darling. Yet, for every article praising her ingenuity, there were whispers of irregularities in the lab, employees expressing concern, and experiments failing. But these voices were drowned out by the roar of hype and capital. It was 2015 when the first serious cracks began to show. John Carreyrou, a reporter at the Wall Street Journal, started investigating after receiving anonymous tips from disillusioned employees. What he uncovered was staggering. The technology at the heart of Theranos simply didn't work. Edison machines produced unreliable results, and the company had been hiding this from investors, regulators, and patients alike. The revelations sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley. Investors demanded answers. Partners withdrew their support. Regulators initiated inquiries. The empire, built on charisma and deception, began to crumble. By 2018, Theranos had officially shut down. The company that once promised to revolutionize medicine was nothing more than a cautionary tale. Elizabeth Holmes faced charges of massive fraud, along with her former partner, Sunny Balwani. Courtrooms replaced boardrooms. Headlines shifted from praise to condemnation. Holmes went from celebrated billionaire to convicted felon, sentenced to 11 years in prison. The dream she sold had turned into a nightmare. The story of Theranos is more than a tale of one woman's ambition gone astray. It is a reflection of a culture willing to value vision over evidence, story over truth. In Silicon Valley, a compelling narrative can sometimes be more valuable than a working product. And when trust becomes a currency, lies can become a fortune. Elizabeth Holmes promised a drop of blood could change the world. And in a way, it did. But the cost was measured in billions, in shattered trust, and in lessons learned the hard way.